Hello, Steve Thompson here again from Digital City at Teesside University. By now I hope you've seen the first video where we talked about the digital storytelling project and showed some examples. This video is about the workshops that we're running. The workshops are running across a range of venues in Tees Valley, and they're designed to help you tell your story in a digital format. The workshops start with some discussion about stories, and we investigate and explore what stories people have. Most people have several. It's a very social and informal part of the workshops, and we look to develop the stories to give them a start, a middle and an end, so that the stories can be enjoyed and consumed by other people. Here's an example of an object that we could tell a story about, and basically the story is it's my grandfather's watch, which he gave to his son, my father in fact, and my father gave it to me. That's a very short story and wouldn't really hold people's attention. We'd need to draw out more information, more interest in the story. And I can think of several things that I could add to this story. But if you are able to see the details on the back of the watch there, you'll see that my grandfather worked at Concert Iron Company, which could bring out several stories. But also you may be able to see that he worked there from 1914 to 1957. And 1914 was the outbreak of World War I. So clearly he was in a protected trade, that he didn't actually go to war, he worked in the steelworks. So several stories could be teased out of that. So this is the next thing we need to do when we're considering a story. We need to write a storyboard, just map it out. You don't have to be a great graphic artist to do this, it just helps distill your ideas. The picture to the left of the window, you can't quite see it, but it's very clearly, there's a long and winding road there that somewhat intrigued me. And one day I took an adventurous drive along that road to see where it would take me. And I did come to something rather interesting, which would make an interesting digital story. So what I've done in this mapping out of the story, I've outlined the way I think the story would develop, so that it does indeed have a start, a middle and an end. And I've listed the assets I feel I'm going to need. I need some information from the internet. I need to go there again and take some additional pictures. So for your story it may be you need to scan some images that you already have, or you need to go and take some pictures. But planning your story like this will make it easier to put together. Another thing about story structure is we want to engage our listeners. So a story could begin, one day an amazing thing happened, and you've already given the game away about what the story is about. There is no mystery. You could begin the same story by saying, the day began like any other. How could I know what was about to happen? Now there's an air of mystery that will intrigue your listeners and draw them into the story. So sometimes it's the same story, we tell it in a slightly different way to engage our listeners. And there's lots of potential subjects for stories: a place, a person, an object, etc., etc. And lots of people have stories to tell. They don't often realise they do, but we can help draw out those stories in these workshops. This is the other things we need to think about. What is your story about? Do you want to work with other people to develop this story? Personally, I think the best digital stories are personal stories, but you can work with other people. And what form will it take? Will it be pictures and text, or pictures and audio, i.e. your voice? And how will you visualize it? Will you scan some pictures or take photographs, or simply use images that you may have found on the internet? You may need to make a field trip alone or with other people to take pictures to illustrate your digital story. And when we've collected all of these things, we start to put them together, and we use nothing but free tools to make our digital stories. And so we hope to see you sometime soon at one of our digital storytelling workshops. So for now, thanks for listening and goodbye.